You found Why We Are Christians. My name is Kent Philpott, and our guest on the program is a pastor in the Moscow district of Russia. His name is Anatoliy Sokolov. Welcome, Anatoly. I'm glad you're with us.
Thank you very much. I'm so privileged and happy to be here.
We've known each other for many years now.
More than 20 years, I guess.
Yes. Well, you showed up, and we've been in touch all of these years, and love being able to know you, Anatoly. Now, let's get started. You speak Russian.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Surely, yes.
And you speak some pretty good English.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And let's begin with where you were born. Where were you born?
I was born in Moscow. It's the capital of Russia, and I was brought up in Moscow and studied in Moscow. Go to university in Moscow, and all my life in Moscow.
Wow.
Muscovite.
So you're a Muscovite, for sure.
Yeah.
And how about your parents? Where are they from?
They actually were born in area called Ryazan area. It's about 300 kilometers from Moscow, but mostly all their life they'll spend in Moscow.
They did, okay. Now, I understand that your father was in agriculture.
Agriculture.
Yeah, we say farmer around
Farmer,
here.
yeah.
I think you told me that they had cows.
Yeah.
They had cows, and did they grow anything in the ground?
They did, as everybody did, as they're still doing in Russia. But as I said, when they moved to Moscow, their life completely changed.
Okay, now, would it be safe to say that you growing up on a farm / ranch, you consider yourself?
Me not. I was born in Moscow completely.
Okay.
Not dealing nothing with the farmers.
Well, I was hoping you would have been a cowboy. When you told me about the cows, I thought maybe you'd been a Russian cowboy. I don't know.
It's better to say I was looking the American movies, about cowboys in Texas. I've seen more such movies later on.
Okay, you were going to school in Moscow. What did they call the beginning school? We call them a grammar school or elementary.
Elementary school, the same things.
Okay. And you went to high school.
Yes.
Did you play any sports in high school?
I would say it was not so much, but maybe I'm not very tall, but I like to play basketball.
Basketball?
Basketball, yeah.
Okay.
That was good.
All right, basketball. So what was life like in being a high school student in Moscow? Did you like it?
It's hard to say. I think the same things everywhere. The kids are the same everywhere. They like sport, they like football. Not American football, like a soccer.
Right.
Soccer, but we call football.
Yes.
So Russian football.
Right.
The most popular sports in Russia.
Okay, now, you went to high school during the era of the Soviet Union.
Correct. All the high school and the university, my electronic studies, and I had the electronic degrees at university, so that's everything in Moscow.
Did you notice a difference between being in the Soviet Union and then being free
in Russia?
Yeah. Did you notice a difference?
Oh, surely yes. And I know the difference, but it's a bit tough question because when you're asking about it, we always have to say the period of time. When? Some years it was harder, sometimes easier, very difficult to say in one words, because it was a time when it was free, easy and hard, and so. So it's really difficult to explain in one or two words. But maybe a good story. In Moscow, we had in our apartment in Moscow, we had so-called private prayer groups meetings. My parents, when I was 5 years old, I remember believers, church members come for prayer groups, reading the Bible, singing the psalms, and so it was about 1 or 2 hours meetings. Officially, it was not so allowed. And I remember listening to them, being with them, but actually I didn't understand completely what's going on. But then when they left the apartment, my mom came to the window and turned the curtain a bit and said, "Look at that man under the tree." I said, "What does it mean?" The man was standing under the tree there watching our entrance. I said, "What does it mean?" That it's KGB.
KGB.
Just watching our entrance. I said, "Did we do something wrong?" No. But they just, it's like that, you know. They do. It was not a secret, but anyway, they're just watching them, who was getting, what kind of meetings they have, and so. It was puzzle for me, was not understandable. And then we went to the Moscow Central Baptist Church. There was only one church in Moscow for 8 million people.
There was, say that again, Anatoly.
It was
You said
one Baptist church in Moscow for the whole huge city, like 8 million people.
Wow. Now, Anatoly, did your parents grow up in the Russian Orthodox Church or the
At the
Roman?
beginning, yes, in
Okay.
the Russian Orthodox Church. Then my mom was converted and became member of the Moscow Baptist Church. But this church was, we call them like a church for show, just to show the foreigners to the world that there was a freedom in our country.
Oh, see, now, so the church was for show.
Kind of.
So that the Western countries would say, see, there's freedom of religion in Russia.
If the tourists come to Hotel Russia, for instance, that came to the guide and said, "We would like to go to the service." Which service? In the Baptist church. "Oh, we wanted to go to the Baptist church." "Oh, yes, there is one around, this way, around the corner, and so." They go to the only one Baptist church.
Okay. Amongst 8 million people.
Only for foreigners to see it, that the kind of freedom we have.
I see. I remember reading about that, and so
Now we have more, of course, we have plenty.
there's much more.
Much more.
Sure.
Let's say, if I'm not mistaken, in the numbers, more than 30 churches in Moscow, and it used to be 12 churches in the Moscow district. Now more 54 churches around, so it's much more.
54. And you're pastor of one of them, First
Yes,
Baptist Church
that's
of
right.
Klin, K-L-I-N. Right about this time, people are going to see a picture of the building
Yeah.
with you in front of it.
Yeah. First time I came to that area just to, I didn't know that it wasn't church at that time, a long time ago, more than the 50 years, and I came to visit Peter Tchaikovsky Museum to listen his music, Tchaikovsky music there, you know. And then a small group of believers only started the church in private house, a small wooden typical village house. We had a gathering there, meetings there.
Now, Anatoly, how is it? So your parents are part of the Baptist church there. How did you become a Christian yourself?
Oh, that's a long story. To make a long story short, I would say, since, as I mentioned before, 5 years, I knew about that, I heard, but it was not close to my heart. I didn't accept in my heart. But when I became a student, first-year student in the university, I studied very seriously mathematics and physics in university. Especially what struck me so much, theory of relativity. Einstein, theory of relativity. And by that theory, the 1 second in certain conditions can become unlimited. In my end, it struck me in my mind something interesting. The second be in some condition unlimited. So Bible says about eternity. And the scientist, physics says it can unlimited unlimited time can become eternity. It struck me, I started to learn more deep the Bible. I started to read the Bible very often. And the husband of my sister, he was 8 years older than me. We had a long talk with him. We discussed all these matters. We started to read the Bible to him. I put so many questions. And I remember it was actually Christmas Eve. We went to the night service in the church, and we came back after midnight already to the church. It was always in my head. I remember that very clearly. And I went to bed already after midnight, and early morning I got up and I told them, to my relatives, I had a very strange dream that I had a feeling of joy in my heart. And second, it was a road towards I don't know, I didn't see any end of the road, but I saw the road in that direction. At the end of the road direction was bright light. And I was going there in a bright light with a happiness and with a joy in my heart, and I had my shirt on my shoulder. I was just going happily in that direction to the light, having in my hands. And the friends of mine on the left side of the road, on the right side of the road, my friend said, "Where are you going to? Stop, come to us." Come to us. I said, No, I'm not going with you. Where are you going to? I'm going to launder it for my shirt, to clean my shirt.
So that was Jesus? Was that Jesus you were looking at?
Yes, that's actually the light I was going to. That I'm not going with you anymore. I'm not going with you anymore. That's my way on this road to the light.
So
that was when next morning I converted and repented and started. It was when I was 18.
18 years old?
Yeah, 18 years old, yeah.
Okay.
That was my story of conversion.
Now, were you converted? I mean, take that back. Now, about baptism.
To wash my shirt. Actually, I was going to wash my shirt.
Okay.
Shirt.
Now, were you baptized in water?
Later on. Yes,
later on?
Yes, later on. I was baptized in Moscow. This is in this church in Moscow, Central One Baptist Church in Moscow. And that's another story. I had some problems in the university afterwards, and so some.
You had some problems in the university?
Yeah, after that. Yes.
Can you talk about that problem?
Yeah, I can. I can talk about this problem. You know, what's actually how it happened and what it happened. We had meetings of the Baptist Union, regular meetings. And those years in 65, 63, 66, those years, it was kind of split in our Baptist movements in Russia. Some disagreements, we call them initiators or underground church, and the registered church and unregistered church. There are some conflicts, some discussions.
I remember that.
You remember. And so this meeting of this, we call the Reconciliation Congress. So between these two church groups, they put together to discuss what is wrong, how can we be united. So there are some special conversation. But before that, it was a special service. A wonderful service, 3-hour service, wonderful choirs from all around the former Soviet Union. I remember men's choir from Estonia. It was wonderful singing, wonderful singing. I was so excited. I was so glad. The first time I worked the summer as a student. I worked during the summer, 3 months, and was able to buy the first tape recorders, which can take out. It was absolutely new things for Russia those years. You can take the small tape recorders and I recorded this choir singing. And it was over service, and my husband of my sister and another friend and me went outside of the church and stayed there around next to the entrance, and the crowds of people were going out. And I just wanted to check how it works, what I recorded, the choir. And suddenly, but because of these disagreements, authorities actually surrounded all this area with KGB and the policemen. And somebody came to me and said to us on my shoulder, "Hello," and the policeman stayed there. "Do you have your ID or passport?" I don't know why I had it. Usually I didn't have a passport with me. There is no need actually in Russia. But somehow I had it. He took it, the passport, and even didn't look through and put in his pocket.
He took your passport.
I said, "Let's go." And 3 of us were kind of arrested. And you 3, let's go. Where? Go, go, go. So we went around there, special room, and there were some people, kind of policemen. I don't know what their job was, but they were not in uniform. And that man started to check, "Who are you?" asking the question to my brother-in-law and to me and to others, especially when they recognize that I'm a student. Oh, they confiscated the tape recorder and everything and started to threaten us. So they kept us 3 hours.
That was a little scary.
I wouldn't say that, because actually, frankly, I had a peace in my heart, really. It wasn't scary, but it was very not understandable for me. Why? Did we something wrong? What's happening? I couldn't understand that. But then, some time later on, in the university, the authorities called me for talks. They sent especially to try this as a student. Somehow to give him a list of the questions to me. Probably it was recorded. And he put the question. And we had a long conversation about philosophy. And what I remember, he was talking about future communist ideology and philosophy, and I told him also about my understanding theory of Einstein, and from one hand he was talking about the communist future, like communist ideology of our society. I told him that that's actually a Christian idea. Communism is a Christian idea. The communists taking it from Christianity. Communists' best ideas. What do you mean? And then we talk about Hegel, German philosopher, Hegel, about his faith. So we started to talk more and more about philosophy. But I knew more about the things than him, that person, because he knew what it is, their books. But I said, I taken the Bible, said, this is written in the Bible. Christ came to do this. Christ did that. So I had knowledge of the philosophy, knowledge of the Bible, and he almost was lost. Just trying to compare Bible. So it was long talk about that, but actually And then I thought, and now I probably will be kicked out from the university. Because in those years, if you're a believer, you can easily can be, in so many cases, the students were kicked out from the university, not because they're bad students, but they specially put them a bad marks, not for the believer, not for the faith. They didn't say, never said that, but they provoked the bad marks, put the 3 times bad mark on the philosophy subjects. And by these bad marks, they kicked them out from the university. So,
Now, Anatoly, let me ask you. Now, you're a young man. How about boy and girlfriend relationships? Did you have a girlfriend at university?
not really, no, not really. I would say no.
No.
It's nowadays it's absolutely a different situation. Young people just all have girlfriends and so. But in those years, I was so concentrated on the to study, for study and the church. I have 2 things: study, university, and the church. I had no time at all for anything else.
No time for anything else.
Yeah.
That was it. You didn't have any time for girls. No. Now I know your wife. I've met her a number of times.
Yeah.
Rima.
Yeah.
Rima. Now how did you meet Rima?
Actually, when I just graduated from the university, it was in our system that we didn't have to look for the job, but we have been sent to the job because so-called because the state gave you education free, but you have to work in the place where they need you to work.
Okay.
So I have been sent to the TV center, in Shabulovka, old TV center, to work as a technical engineer for broadcasting color television. And before this year, 67, we had only black and white television. And I was in the first team of small group of electronic engineers who started the color television in the Soviet Union.
Okay.
The 1st of October, we started the first broadcast. I was one of them who was a technical engineering work for broadcasting.
Now I asked you about Rima.
And then
Did you met Rima there?
I met there. He was
Okay.
there.
I knew it. You had something.
I met her there, and then Rima, and you heard about my family, and daughter and granddaughter. That's it.
So where was Rima's parents? Was she from Moscow too?
Yes, for Moscow, but before we married, just maybe a year before, her mom died, but her dad left them long time ago, so she never seen him since, and I never met him at all.
Okay.
So I don't know about them.
So how old were you when you got married?
Let me see, 27.
27. Okay. And did you guys live in Moscow?
Yeah,
You lived in Moscow. You're working at the television station?
television.
Okay. Did you make money? Did you have much money?
No, in those years, such a system, we had a called average engineer. Then you have a promotion like engineer, some promotions, some more responsibilities, a bit more money, but more or less, if I give you a figures, it doesn't say to you anything.
Okay.
So
now, did you have children?
daughter, Nina, yeah.
Yes.
And granddaughter, my princess. You remember, I showed you pictures.
Yes.
When she was very small, just born. You have seen it already.
Yes. Right.
But now she's about 19.
Okay. All right.
Katya.
Yeah. So now that you're living in Moscow, you're working at a television station. Now, how did that progress? Because you're not there now. You're a Baptist pastor. How did that all work?
Oh, I just expected this question.
You knew I'd get to it.
I know. The point is, when we were, so here, this TV studio for color television, it was a unique studio in the whole Soviet Union. It's a small group, and the new equipment from all over the world, from Britain, Germany, France, and so. SECAM 3B, it was a system for color television there. So all these other research institutions who wanted to have experiments, they had no other places in the whole country just to come to this place to make the experiments. And I helped them with this experiment. And then they invited me to continue study for my doctorate, to be so-called, to do the research like a postgraduate student. Okay. So they invited me. But because still I'm a member of the church, every Sunday I went to the church, it was continued, it was like that. But at the same time I did my research work for my doctorate. At the beginning, it was everything okay. So my advisor was very good. I had excellent marks. I written my articles, technical articles, scientific, did my experiments. It was okay. But then, suddenly, attitude has changed.
What's that?
Has changed. Attitude, to me, changed. Suddenly, my advisor became like trying to escape from me. And I didn't understand what's going on. I had a plan as a student. I need his signature to prove my work. He said, tomorrow. And tomorrow he was on a business trip. When he came in 2 weeks later, I said, I need a signature. My work is, then tomorrow he is ill. And so, suddenly understood that somebody called him, order, why you taking to this important work Baptists? Baptists, ideological, not reliable people.
We're sort of that way, aren't we?
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But so they started to put a pressure on me, and 3 months later, they accused me that I was not doing properly the work. I said, but I was trying to find you in 3 months. It's not my job, it's your job to find me. They accused me of being late. Then I said,
we're going to stop right there.
Okay.
We're going to pick that story up right there, Anatoly.
Okay.
The next program. All right, now, the end of our program, Why We're Christians, but part 2 of this program is going to be coming up sometime, someplace. So long.